everybody, and welcome. I hope you're ready to make a easy fun fold. It's a fun latch fun fold card. Welcome to Simply Cards by Kathi. I'm Kathi Ondus, and today's September 5th, 2024. And I am excited to share this fun fold with you. We're going to be using the Winterly Treetops bundle to do it. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm so happy you found me. I hope you'll like what you see. And if you do, I hope you'll hit that subscribe button. And if you're with me live or catching me on the replay, thank you for being with me. I'm so happy to be here with you. So I am going to get started, and we're going to flip the camera down. If you're with me live or even on the replay, let me know where you're from. I'd love to know where you're joining in from. So we are using the Winterly Treetops stamp set and dies. This is from the new mini catalog, and just a beautiful die set. You have these great frame dies that will that you can use for the front of a card. You have the dies, and we're going to use this one, so we're going to pull it out. You have the dies that are will cut some evergreens, some twigs or branches. You also cut your stamp sets. Hi, Carla, and hi, Roberta. Thank you for joining. And today we're also, I'm going to put this off to the side. We're going to be using the Nest of Winter Designer Series paper. This was a suite, the Winterly Treetops bundle and the paper. And we're going to actually be using this piece of paper tonight. And I'm going to show you how you can get 12 cards out of this 12 by 12 sheet. Now, I'm not going to make 12, but I'll be able to show you how, if you cut it, you can get 12 out of it. But just beautiful, almost like they're watercolor prints that the birds have been colored. Let me just show you these. There's another one. Now, you can cut some of these images out with the dies here, in case you weren't aware of that. You can cut these. Let me just show those to you. This large die here will cut these out. And then the die that we're going to be using will cut out, where to go? Right here, this one. So you can cut these out, and for quick card making. Let me show you some of these other papers here. Just really pretty colors. Now, what I like about it is that you can use it for the holidays, or you can use it all winter long for birthdays or celebrations. And then if you turn these over, you have, let me pull it over, you have some really small prints, you have some snow falling, you have a geometric, you have some stripes, some just winter scene, and then you have some wood grain. So gorgeous, gorgeous papers. All right, we are going to start off with gray granite. It is one of the colors in the Designer Series paper. And this is a very different size card base than we're used to cutting. It is 5.5 by 6.5. So I actually cut a half sheet of paper at 5.5, 8.5 by 11. I cut it at 5.5. And then I took that 8.5-inch side and just cut 2 inches off, whatever works for you. And then it's scored at 4.25. So our card base will be regular envelope size for an A2. I'm going to go ahead and fold this on our score line and just give it a good burnishing. I always like to do a good burnishing, especially on fun folds, because they always don't lay real flat. Now, the next piece to this is we're going to add a panel to this. So what I did, let me grab that piece of paper here that we had. And I cut a 2-inch by 5 1/4 inch piece. Remember, this is 5 1/2. And I decided to mount it on a panel. So actually what I did is cut a 2-inch piece of basic black, and I cut a 1 7/8. I'm sorry for those of you that hate 7/8 or hate the ace, but you could do 1 3/4 and just have a little bit bigger border. But I found that I could get more cards out of cutting it at 1/8. And I like the small edges. Now I cut 2 of these and I'll show you why. And I'm going to use this one for the front of my fun fold. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere the designer series paper to the basic black. And then we're going to adhere this to the front of our card. This is such a quick and easy fun fold, and it can be whatever you want it to be. You can make it, if you didn't want to use 2 layers here, you could simply cut the designer series paper 2 inches by 5 1/4, leave off that black layer and just mount that on your card base. So I tend to like layers. And we're going to add that. Okay. And you'll see why I picked this piece of designer series paper, this one over this one, for the front of the card in just a few minutes. So I just want to bring that down a little bit so I have a nice even border. I'm just going to slide it, and there we go. Okay, now we want to make our latch. So to do that, you need your inside, which is a piece of basic white. It's 4 by 5 1/4. And we also need another piece of gray granite. Now the gray granite is 3 1/4 by 3 1/2. And then you score on the 3 1/4 inch side at 2 3/4. And we're going to fold this. Now don't worry about measurements, and please don't worry. I am going to give you a full PDF with the measurements, the supplies, and the instructions to make the card. And that'll be up after noon tomorrow. Yeah, the black layer does set it off, doesn't it, Carla? That was why it just kind of made it stand out. So this is our latch. Now this little fold is going to adhere to the back of your basic white layer. So what you want to do is center it on your basic white layer and then adhere it to the back before we put it on our card base. Now, if you're going to stamp an inside, this card can make that a little bit tricky, and you're going to see why. When I adhere this and set this on into my card base, you have part of your inside, and that's not straight because it's not adhered, visible. So you're either going to use this side to stamp a small greeting, do your signature, or you're going to need to do it so it runs in between this panel. And you'll see what I mean in just a few minutes. Hi, Mary. Thank you for joining. Warm in Indiana. It is warm in Cleveland. We're at 86. So, all right, so let's adhere this. And to do this, I'm simply going to take my cardstock, and I've added my adhesive. You can use tape runner, glue, tear and tape works really well. And I just want to center that as best I can and take it right up to that fold line. And then we're going to go ahead and adhere it down. And you now made your latch. Now I'm ready to adhere it to the the inside of my card. So let's go ahead and do that. Then we're going to get busy decorating. I want to get a good amount on here. And then we're just going to center that. Okay. Just going to give it a good press. All right, now we're going to set this off for a minute. Now we need something to decorate here. So because I chose, we're using basic white. And this is 2.5 by 3.25. And I used the Snowflake Sky, the 3D embossing folder. I wanted to pick up the snowflakes from the designer series paper. So if you're not familiar with that, this is a 3D embossing folder. Hopefully you can see it through the glare. Just really pretty. And as you go, it's much heavier or lighter at the top and heavier as you get to the bottom, as if the snow would be collecting. So we're going to go ahead and adhere this to our latch. Now, you could use designer series paper here if you wanted to. You could just use a piece of regular cardstock, not embossed. But I really wanted to pick up that snowflake pattern. Oops, that's upside down. Let's turn that around. The heavier snow is at the bottom. And we're just going to adhere this here. There we go. All right. Now we're ready to decorate the front. So it's a super easy card. I want to put one of the birds. So I chose to use the single bird on here. And now I could have cut one out of the designer series paper, and I actually didn't even think to do that. I thought I would color this as best I could as a bluebird, and I'm going to show you how I do that. So we're going to go ahead and stamp this little guy right here. I'm using Tuxedo Black Memento ink because I'm going to color him with my blends. And I'm just going to give that a minute to dry. Now I'm going to bring all my blends in that I've pulled out here. And I have copper clay. Copper clay is one of the colors in the paper. I have peach pie, blueberry bushel. I have one real red. Real red? Oh, no, I have cherry cobbler. Sorry about that. And I have blackberry bliss. And we're just going to go ahead and color him. So I'm going to start off first with my dark blueberry bushel. And I'm just going to add some, using the accent marks from the stamp, I'm just going to add some to give him a little bit of depth to the coloring. And then I'm going to come in, and here I'm going to use my brush end, and I'm just going to go with nice sweeping motions. You could also use a circular motion and just pull in that color and blend it. Okay, now I want to do his head and just part of his back, also that blue. We have northern bluebirds here where I am, and they're one of my favorites. And so I thought I would try to replicate them as best I could. Okay, so we're going to do that. And now I'm going to take this in, and I'm going to go ahead and color his head and try to blend this. This is the light blueberry bushel. And you can even use some small circular motions. And then I'm just going to pull this through and blend them now just real lightly. And this I'm just going to almost like flick it through. I don't want it to look too even. Okay, now I'm going to add some blue here because that's coming from his other wing. And then I'm going to take my peach pie, and I'm going to start with the dark one. Here it is. And I'm going to use my brush And I want to add just a little bit of depth or darkness in here. I tend to like to start with my dark if I'm going to do accent and then add from there when I go back. And now I'm just going to color the rest of them in with the light peach pie. Now, true northern bluebirds have some white on their belly, and I had a hard time making that look a little natural. So that is something I have to work on. But I thought, well, this guy's going to have a peach belly. And I just want to bring this up a little bit to blend it in with my blue. Okay. For his beak, now if I wanted to bring in a little bit more, I can come back in with my dark and just go feather that lightly up. All right. Now for his beak, I'm going to use crumb cake and the light one. And I'm just going to go ahead and color that in. And then for his feet and the branch, I'm going to use copper clay. I'm going to add a little bit, and I'm going to use my bullet point of copper clay right in here. And then we're just going to color it in. And I am going to use that bullet point and color his legs or feet or claws, whatever, I forget what they're called, and bring those in a little darker. And then we're just going to go ahead and blend this through. So I thought I'd do the fun fold today because I didn't do it on Monday. And you all seem to really love the fun folds. So I thought we'd just go ahead and do that in. And on Monday, I'm actually going to start a new series. Now on the berries here, I'm just going to add a little bit real light. Add some copper clay to that twig or the branch. And now I'm going to color the berries, and I'm going to use my light cherry cobbler, and I'm using the bullet point, and I'm just going to go in on the centers here on the main part of the berry. And then I'm going to come in with my Blackberry Bliss, and I'm going to use that bullet point, and I'm going to add the deep center and the darkness around the edges. Okay, so we're done coloring them. Hi, Becky. Thank you for joining in. Let's move those off to the side. And here's our bird. It's my northern bluebird. It's my version. So we're going to die cut him out. And let's get rid of these blends so they're out of our way. And I'm going to die cut him. Now, this is how that's kind of fits in here. And I'm just going to take a piece of tape, and you can use masking tape or not masking tape. Oh gosh, you can use the 3M tape, the Post-it note tape, or you can even use washi tape. Now I'm going to turn around and just right behind me cut this. And I'll be right back with you. Okay, so we have our bird. All right, and we're going to add him. He's going to go down in here, but before we add him, I want to be able to add my greeting. Now, your greeting is, I'm using the third largest. I believe it's a third largest from Stylish Shapes. And it is. So you want about a 2¼ inch circle. And this is actually going to be where we latch our card. Now, to do this, this is going to be able to go in and out, but you need to be careful when you're adhering this because you want to leave enough room for it to latch versus over too far, that it's too close and it gets a little bit harder to latch then. So to do this, I figure out where it is I want to place this. And then I'm just going to slide it over in that position. And I'm going to use dimensionals to place them directly on my card. So I'm going to use large ones. And I'm going to take one and I'm going to turn this so you can see it a little bit better. And this is going to be like that. So I'm going to move this off and I'm just going to eyeball, but it's going to be right up along the edge of this latch, or that's the fold. This is actually going to be our latch. And I'm going to add them right alongside one another. Hi, Betty. Thank you for joining in. So there we are for that. Now, this is going to come to right about there. So I have to out here to be able to help support that latch. So I'm going to go ahead and put one here. I'm going to add one right in between these two. So I'm almost making like a half circle. And I'm going to add one right in here and the top's coming off. There we go. So let's pull these off. All right. And now we're ready to add our circle. So I'm going to come back in and going to position it right so it's about even top to bottom. And I'm going to have it go right about there and press it down. And you now have this great latch when you want to close the card up. It tucks in there and you can open it up to pull it out. Okay, so let's tuck that in. Now we're ready to add our bird. Now, remember I said when I started, I cut 2 pieces of paper and I decided not to use this one. The reason I decided to use the bird upper, because you can see it better. If I had used this and this was sitting right here, it was going to be covered partially by that circle. So I can use this on the inside if I want to. So let's add our little bird here. And I have a couple sprigs that I cut using the dies from this set that I thought might look pretty, just kind of sitting. But I want to be able to adhere them. So let's see how that'll do. And then if we put him over it, let's see how that'll look. I like that. So let's add a little bit of glue to these. And I'm just going to add a few dots. So I have a question for those of you that are watching and those that catch the replay. I am interested in when you're watching a video or even just me, do you like that things are cut and prepped so it moves along? Or do you prefer to watch from very beginning, cutting the cardstock and everything, to the very end? And I've always kind of wondered what the preference is. I know what my preference is, but I'm interested in what you, as the viewer, prefer or like. So I'd love to hear in the comments your thoughts on that. There we go. And just kind of press that down. Okay, now we're going to add some dimensionals and pop him right up there. So I think he's going to look really pretty. Now I'm going to show you a couple options for the inside. And I have another card to show you. It's actually the same card, but the inside will be a little bit different. Now for here, I'm going to go ahead and let me grab my minis. And I want to grab my scissors I use for it, adhesives. And I'm just going to trim a little piece off the edge of my Stampin' Dimensionals. And let me grab that here. And I'm going to put that there to support his tail. And then I'm going to use my mini dimensionals to add to my berry right there and over here. And then let's add a mini dimensional. I'm going to add one right here. Make sure it doesn't show through it outside. It doesn't. And I'm going to add another one over right about, and I don't want the points. There we go. So that's going to look, and I do have just a little bit there. I'm just going to come in with my scissors and snip off that little bit of dimensional. And now we're ready to adhere our bluebird. You like things that are prepared. Okay, Roberta. And you think the tutorial, Betty, goes more smoothly when things are cut out and prepped ahead of time. Okay. All right. That I'm loving the comments because I have wondered about that for months. And I thought, I'm just going to ask all of you what you prefer. So let's add him right here. Okay. Now for gems. I thought it'd be pretty to add these adhesive back sparkle gems, and I really like these, but look at the black. I think the black will really play off our black matting. So we're going to add a couple of these, and then I'm going to show you options for the inside. I'm going to add one here, and let's add another one right here. And then I'm going to take one of these small ones and let's add it right over the snowflake. Oh, I think that's so pretty. All right, now let's take a look at the inside of the card. So now we can open our latch fold. Now, remember I said if you're going to stamp, you're going to have to stamp right in here or stamp directly in the center so that it's covered by this flap and the fold of the card. Now, for my card, I could leave this blank and then fill in when I'm ready to use it. In other words, just stamp my greeting. But I want to show you what I did with this other card. With the inside, I took and I layered. Remember I said I had cut two basic black panels and two of the designer. You could lay this on this side and then just write your greeting or stamp it here and sign it. You could also lay it on the other side. And let me show you that. We're not going to actually adhere it, but we could lay it over here and you'd only have this area to write and stamp in. Or you can leave it blank. So many, many different ways, wait a minute, that we can finish up the inside of this fun latch fold card. So there's our cards. So let me bring you back to me. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I had a ball working with this stamp set and making it for you, and I was excited to show it to you. It is a beautiful bundle and paper, and one that you can use year round, which is what I like. I like when I can use things for other than just 1 or 2 months. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe and well. And I will see you on Monday. I am starting on Monday. Once a month. It'll fall to the first Monday of the month after September. But I am going to do 3 card layouts. And I'm going to show you how to do those and then show you 2 different cards for each layout and how to use them and change them up. I have a whole stack of layouts. Often I hear, how do I do my cards? Well, that's how I do them. I have a whole container of layouts and I pull layouts and that's what I use. So I wanted to share those with you. So for months, once a month, I'm going to give you 3 of those, and you're going to have the ability to make those templates or layouts, I call them, and use them. And we'll go from there. So I hope you have a great weekend, everyone. I'll see you Monday at 7 o'clock.